They didn't get a bona fide stud. They're going the tandem route. So somebody you're really familiar with your days in Philadelphia, Anthony Stolarz signs a 2-year contract, $5 million, a 2.5 AAV. I think it's pretty decent value, but we're going to see a Woll and Stolarz tandem next season.
Yeah, and like you're just over $3 million for your goaltenders. I think you're doing damn good for that amount of money. Remember that Woll is still on, that original contract. The one he's signed hasn't kicked in yet. So pretty cheap on the goaltender front. People could argue that's too cheap. They're not good enough. They're not going to get us there. That's yet to be seen. Again, I said at the top of the show, I think Woll's ready to step up and be the number one guy in Toronto and own that crease. I think he's physically capable of doing it and mentally capable of doing it. And if he runs into penalty trouble, they've kind of covered themselves with Stoli, who's got some really good numbers at different times. Albeit I said he was on the Stanley Cup winning team. So, his record and save percentage and goals against, obviously he's got a really, really good team in front of him, but he's been around the block a little bit too. He's 30 years old. He understands the role. He's been a backup for a good chunk of his career. And he's a big-bodied, good-hearted dude who guys like to have around in the locker room. I think he gets the assignment. He puts in the work. And like I said, if something does happen to Woll and he's not able to carry the load for the entire season, which is very possible, I think you've got a pretty useful guy to come in there and kind of switch hit and give him his breaks and spell him off when needed. And again, on the third level of that, we've got Murray coming back. He'll play on the Marlies, and if needed, if we get into a jam like we did where we had Martin Jones bail us out, he can be that guy. And say what you want, but for that nightmare scenario, that's a pretty good option to have in your back pocket that costs you league minimum.
6'8" on skates. This past season, backing up Sergei Bobrovsky with the Panthers. Again, another cup winner, just like OEL. 16-7-2, 2.03, 925. 2 shutouts. Had an excellent year. Maybe he's a bit of a late bloomer at 30 years of age. I think there's the opportunity to push a Joseph Woll. We all know with the injury history, but I have no issue with that. I think it's going to be a tandem. I think obviously you give the nod and maybe the lean to Joseph Woll. Having said all that, I think there's reason, at least in my opinion, to be skeptical that we're not having the same conversation again next offseason. Like, they failed to get a bona fide stud. There's a lot of hope, and that would concern me. Having said that, again, it's become such a volatile position where one year you can be fantastic, the next year not so much, and that's why I'm okay with a 2-year deal for this guy, not to mention the contract extension that's going to kick in next summer for Joseph Woll. But I think it's fair to wonder what this crease is going to look like, and I won't lie, that scares me a bit, Rosie.
Yeah, well, you just can't have bona fide, proven guys at every single position and expect to still be in the mix in free agency and to be under the cap and all these things. But that there is a question mark there. It's not a question mark of I doubt you guys, but it's a question mark of I wonder if they'll be able to elevate their games at the right times to, hit all the notes to get to where this team wants to go. For someone to say, oh, of course they won't, like, look around the league. There's bona fide studs that don't really get it done sometimes in the playoffs. Although I would want to have a proven bona fide, like an Allmark. I was vocal about, wanting to get that guy. But if you don't, there's a lot of scenarios and situations where guys, goaltenders specifically, get into a situation in the playoffs and just shut it down, man. And just shut the other teams down and just play rock solid, elevate their game, find their confidence, get into a groove and dominate. And either one of these guys, I believe, can do that. And I also think with Woll, like, I really think that he has potential to be great and to surprise a lot of people.
Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.